As many as 10,000 U.S. troops, 10,800, that's about 1,000 more than originally planned, will remain in Afghanistan in the new year. It's one of several hotspots where soldiers will likely be engaged in combat at some point, waiting for them to come home. Husbands and wives, children, parents and friends. Now, how will those relationships change because of the ravages of war? There are stories in each one of those lives, and director Michael Olson wanted desperately to tell the stories, and he's doing it as he films the movie Unsung and Forgotten. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's almost speechless, the contribution that you made as a soldier. I think you told me 4 trips overseas.
Yes, ma'am. 3 Iraq and 1 Afghanistan.
Wow. And most of us, because it's a smaller percentage who are soldiers, most of us do not experience it and really have no concept except for something that's kind of distant. What do they not know that you wanted them to know about what war does to you and then how it affects the family, which is your focus?
One of the biggest issues that soldiers face is what's called survivor's guilt.
Oh.
A lot of them, including myself, have lost buddies, and they wonder and they start thinking, why him and not me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did I make it out of the war zone without being in a body bag?
And you feel guilty for being alive?
I did. I'm slowly working my way back, so to speak. But I still have the night terrors, and I still have the dreams are still there. And there's a lot of soldiers out there who are dealing with the same thing. But the unsung portion that people aren't seeing is what the families go through, how it affects the families, with one parent being gone, with mom or dad not being there for birthdays, Christmases. You know, I myself, I missed four Christmases, 4 New Years.
And Michael, I'll tell you this, just as a child, my father was gone a lot. He was military during the Vietnam War. You have blank spaces in your memory where I just don't remember my father because he wasn't there. So I shouldn't, but I want to remember that he was in my life, but he wasn't there. And that's sort of it's a spot in your heart that bothers you, you know. But I don't blame him. I don't blame the military. But my father wasn't there.
You know, and I've had family members tell me the same thing. You know, they realized that I had a job to do, but it affected them because I wasn't there.
It does. It does.
And that's one aspect that I want the audience to experience. You know, here we've got a loving family. He's military. He's been on 2 deployments before. He is about to go on his 3rd, but this time his daughters are old enough to actually realize what's going on.
Wow, this is unsung and forgotten.
Yes.
And most of your cast and crew members, you reached back to former or any active duty military?
We have 1 National Guard first sergeant who is in the film, and we have an active duty major out of here out of Fort Benning, who is also part of the cast.
Let's take a look. We see a lot of this on the internet of soldiers surprising their family members when they come home.
Yes.
And yet what you're saying is that with all of that happiness and all of that love, that's just the beginning of part 2.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. They've surprised them at graduations. They've surprised them at in schools. I think we have one here where a son surprises his mother. Wow. So even a mother-son relationship becomes different, because I remember, and maybe your children told you this, Michael, is that you wanted to bounce on his knee and walk on his feet and jump on his back, and sometimes he just was not mentally there for it.
No, they have told me that, and mentally, soldiers change when they come back from a combat zone, especially with the level of fighting that is now that has occurred in Iraq and Afghanistan, because a lot of it is door to door.
Oh my God.
A lot of it is, you know, you're sitting in your chew at night and all of a sudden you start getting mortared. There's been times when I've been on Yahoo chat with my wife and I tell her I gotta go, and she can hear her in the background.
And the terror and the fear that must go through her.
She has told me she has sat there until I come back. Oh. And, you know, there's a lot of that people don't know.
Okay, Michael, what we're going to do is make sure they know and they can help. When do you expect to finish it? How can they help you? Because there are expenses involved. How can they help you?
They can go to our Facebook page. Just go into the search bar on Facebook and type in Unsung, and they'll find our movie page. Or they can contact me directly. Wow. And, you know, that's the best way.
Well, thank you so much. For those who are watching, he did come home with PTSD and TBI, traumatic brain injury, but you're doing well. You're doing well, and I want to thank you for what you're doing. People do need to understand that if they're friends, we call them Army brats, and you do get a lot of advantages for being in the military, but you pay a huge price too.
Right.
Pay a huge price. Thank you so much, Michael.
No problem.
And stay in touch with me, because I want to help follow you through this journey, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Coming up, Jeff Nix has written the story of his notorious ancestor, Bartow Grover. You may never have heard of him, but you'll know his story. He was hanged in Columbus for a double murder in 1919. Now, was his great uncle evil or just unlucky and unfortunate? You'll learn the Bartow Nix story when we come back.